Hey everybody, Andy here. Happy Thursday, live office hours. Great to have ya. Hope it's sunny where you are. It's sure as bright as heck where I am. And looking forward to a great show today. I got a nice package on some, I call them beliefs in my life that help me get over any kind of fear and worry. I'm going to share them with you today. If you're here with me live, get in the chat, say hi. Let me know who you are, where you're from, what you do, what you need. Put some question marks in front of your questions. After I go through the teaching portion today, we'll go right into the Q&A. Got some good time for you. I think we're going to have a lot of fun. So get in, say hi. Everything looks pretty good on my end. So I'm going to get right into it. So what do I want to talk about today? Actually, today and tomorrow. So the rest of this week, I want to teach you about becoming the best at what you do, living the best life, becoming the best you can be. And a big part of that is not just the mechanics of what should I do, how should I get better, what makes things tick and all that good stuff. There's an element to becoming the best. You have to start. And whatever it is that you want to do. And a lot of times we have these fears or worries that prevent us from even getting out of the gate. So today I want to talk about how do we get over that initial hurdle to get in motion. It's about really overcoming that fear to get started and keep moving. Everything I'm going to teach you today, there's 7 big points I want to hit, are all aimed at getting you into motion and staying in motion, especially as it relates to overcoming any fears or concerns or worries. They're all cut from the same cloth. So that's what we're going to tackle. Now, yesterday, if you're on my email list, I sent you a message about today's show, and in that message, I pointed you to a video called 3 Best Ways to Overcome Your Fears. It was a video I shot last year that was very tactical based on the type of concern you have, fear you have, and mechanically how to actually overcome that. It's very prescriptive, but it talks about specific issues, specific types of fears. If you haven't checked that out, I suggest you check it out, and it's a great running start. Today is going to be about these beliefs that I have, lessons that I've learned, and then tomorrow is going to be a longer prescription of mechanically what to do to become the best at your trade. So let's talk, really what this lesson is about. I feel like I got this supercomputer up here. It sits on my shoulders. You have one too. It's awesome, and it's really powerful, and it can cover about 6,000 to 6,200 thoughts a day, so the surveys say. That's a lot of stuff going through this noggin. And one of the problems, but wait, it gets even better. In addition to it being cluttered with all those thoughts on any given day, when we have the littlest of space, moments to think, our brains are wired to want to prioritize things of effective value over other stuff. Effective value, not effective value. So what do I mean by that? Generally speaking, we as humans want to prioritize effective value, things such as anger, fear, worry, those kinds of elements. I'm assuming that's from our long lost ancestors who actually needed to prioritize that. We, that work in this century, it really isn't a thing, even though we still make it a thing. So a big part of what we're going to be talking today about is how do we get our mind in the right spot? What do we focus on so that we're able to avoid that and create space in it? And I always feel like, one of the big things for me that I've noticed is that we tend to fear what we don't understand, and we tend not to fear what we do understand. But in order to actually gain knowledge, we have to take action, and taking action can be anything from researching, right, evaluating, doing, trying, and those kind of things. And once we are able to do that, our fears tend to subside. But sometimes our fears are so overwhelming that we're not able to take that action. So I want to give you these beliefs that I have discovered over my 55 years, and I hope they'll help get you in motion. All right, here's number one. This is kind of, I'm going to address different topic areas related to, I think, what stops us. This is kind of the main issue. But focus, I hope you can see these cards. Focus makes problems disappear. And focus is very difficult for a lot of people. You've not been taught to focus. And I think there's actually a couple of issues related to focus. Number one is our daily calendars are filled with a lot of things that are meaningless. They're just not important. There's a lot of very unimportant activities on our calendars, and there's very few true priorities. That in and of itself creates problems with us being able to get at the things that are really important to us, whether it's because we work in jobs that operate that way, or more likely, we have not taken control of prioritizing things that truly matter to us. That's one big element where we have problems focusing. And then the other issue is when we're focusing on any given thing, there's always two sides to every coin of everything that you focus on. There's the things that you actually want to happen, and then there's the things that you worry about because you're afraid or worried about what might happen related to what it is you want to happen. I would like to write that book, but I'm not sure where to begin. I would like to write that book, but I'm afraid it's going to fail. I'm afraid nobody will read it. I'm afraid I won't be able to get a publisher or a literary agent, whatever it is. And we tend to concentrate on what we're afraid of. And the one big thing is, if you can concentrate on what it is you want to happen, you're going to have a greater likelihood of it actually happening. And about 1 million people in this world have said, and I believe this to be true, is that our energy manifests what we think about. It doesn't know good and bad. It doesn't know which side of that coin is the right one. It just is. And wherever your energy goes, that's what you're going to bring about. So if you can get your focus to be on what you want to happen, a lot of that other stuff will disappear. And I've long said that your greatest weapon against time is being fully present with what you're doing. That's what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about focusing on what it is that you want. So here's a little trick I'm going to give you that helps me free up my mind from things that I might worry about. And I want to give you this little tip that's really worked for me. In the last 100 days, actually I have it right here. In the last 100 days, so basically let's cover June, July, and August, and whatever we are into September here, almost 9-10 days in. And I keep a booklet. It's a field notes book. This is it here, and inside, there's a couple of little moleskin booklets or whatever. And this one right here is what I call my worry book. So every time that I have a worry, any fear, any worry, any fleeting thought, however light it is, if I'm thinking about something in the future, and that obviously might or might not happen, anytime I do that and it's a negative thought, I write it in this book. So on June 28th and 29th and 30th, I had a couple of little worries. One was about a business that I run that you guys are not familiar with. Another one is about something I was doing during a live show. July 18th, 20th, and 24th, I had some worry about something athletic. On July 27th, I was worried about the business again. And then on August 26th, I was worried about getting sick. And I'm going to tell you that exactly 0 of those things actually came to fruition. Now, on the one hand, I think that's pretty good that I've only literally had 8 things in the last 100 days, 8 times, I should say. It's not even 8 things. It's really more like 3 things, 4 things that I thought about in a negative fashion. Now, obviously, that I'm not perfect. I'm not 0 for the 100 days. But the point is, if you can pull something together like this, so I challenge you to do this for 30 days. Okay, and what it'll do is, number one, it'll free your mind. Once you write stuff down, you tend to want to let it go, even if it's a worry. And the second thing is, if you go back and you actually look at it, so keep a worry booklet or a list or a whatever. We all got these little phones and stuff. If you want to put it in your notepad, I really don't care where you put it. But unload it and then go back every week and see how many of those actually happened. right? One of my favorite quotes, Mark Twain, it's a Mark Twain quote. I'm sure I'm going to get this close, but although I'm sure there's variations. And he said something like, I've been through some terrible things in my life, some of which actually happened, right? So we tend to worry a lot. We tend to get stuck. We tend to be fearful for a lot of things that never even come to fruition, or even if they do, they tend not to be as bad as we made it up in our mind. So that's the first tip, right? So that will help you with focus. Now, actually, if you are interested in much more about focus, I have an entire session in my leadership coaching program if you want to take a deeper dive. But that's one element. The second thing I want to say to you guys is, and this is going to sound super obvious after I say it. It'll sound super obvious after I say it, and be like, duh. But I want you to think about, do you actually ever think about this day in and day out? But when it comes to yourself, when you look at you are always a WIP, okay? What do I mean? You're always work in progress, right? Except you don't think about yourself that way, and you don't think about me that way. So what do I mean? Just as an example. All right, so I sit here today in front of you, right? Some of you might have just found me this morning. Some of you might be following me for a few years. But I look to you like finished product, right? Here he is. He's giving you a talk on his beliefs and so on. And I look like a finished product. And even what I'm presenting to you looks like a finished product. But nothing could be further from the truth, right? I am constantly in a state of change and evolution. And whenever we create something in our lives, as we go through the creation of what we want to accomplish or what we want to tackle, I have news for you. The masterpiece never looks like a masterpiece when you're in the middle of it, right? The surgeon, as she stands over the patient whose tummy she has ripped open, looking down, that masterpiece doesn't look like a masterpiece during the middle of the operation, right? It isn't until the great big smile on the patient's face when he's all healed that it becomes a masterpiece. And so think about that. When you're in the middle of something, it's never going to look like a masterpiece. And that includes you. It includes anything you develop, right? That book is not going to look like a masterpiece inside Microsoft Word, right? And so when you're going through and you're actually creating, I have a line out there, today's line to live by. If you follow me on the social media sites, I put these out every morning at 7 a.m. And one of them is, the plagiarizer never sees the invisible work that makes the masterpiece, right? It isn't. Somebody will, I can almost say that with certainty, take this talk I'm giving today, copy the 7 points, and then go make a talk of their own, right? From the 7 points. But they never see all the work that went into creating the talk, or the book, or the paper, or the project, or the system, or the whatever. It certainly didn't happen this week, right? This is 55 years being manufactured and harnessed into 20 or 30 minutes to deliver it to you. But the plagiarizer can never see that. But one extension of that, yourself. Remember, and I wrote this one out for you, as you want to create something in your life, and the masterpiece will never look like a masterpiece during the process. But for you, the work internally is what makes the masterpiece the masterpiece. It's the journey. For everybody else, it's the finished product at the snapshot at a moment in time, and maybe it lives forever or maybe it evolves. But a masterpiece can never be a masterpiece unless it benefits somebody else, and it cannot benefit somebody else unless the thing is breathing. So you need to be able to create it and get it out into this world. And if you're hemming and hawing and afraid about its receipt, you're going to have to get over that. So I want you to have a bias for action. And the tip is, if you can get your mindset wrapped around creating MVPs, minimum viable prototypes or minimum viable products, whatever it is that you want to call this. But spend the least amount of time and the least amount of money getting something livable and breathable out into this world. Now, it could be a training course like I give to you, or a talk, or it could be a white paper you write, or it could be a process that your team uses. But I always say you can't scale version 0, but you can scale the heck out of version 1.0. Okay, I have things out there, 4 years old, they're still in version 1.0. And I have some things that are in version 1.3, and some 2.0, and some that are in version 15.7. So, but this bias for action will keep you in motion, and what else will this do? It'll give you momentum, right? And once things are produced, it's going to make you happy, and you can work with it. And you won't know if it's a masterpiece until you get it living and breathing. And what'll happen is the people who are using it will help you make it a better masterpiece, and they'll get value out of it. All right, so that's the second thing. Third thing, let's talk about your outlook here. There is a treasure in everything that you do. Sometimes it's under the dirt, right? Sometimes you got to look under the dirt. So what do I mean by this one? Well, every obstacle that you have in your life is put there is fuel for strength for you. It's the gasoline you live on, right? It's the stuff that makes you better. But if you continue to either shy away from it and avoid it, you're not going to benefit. And the second thing is, if you do encounter it, if you embrace it, or heck, invite it, for crying out loud, then you're going to be better off. And so, and how you interpret everything that you go through. I always tell you, experience is not what happens to you, it's the meaning you attach to what happens to you. The application of that is what'll make you grow. The application of that is what'll help you enjoy what it is that you're doing. So on this guy, I got a little question for you here. So I know all of you that are out here that are with me right now. You've been through some great things in your life and you've accomplished a lot. But I want you to humor me here for a second. Just close your eyes for a second, and I want just 3-5 seconds. Just close your eyes. I know I can't see you doing it. I'm hoping that you do it with me. Think about the greatest accomplishment in your life. Think about the one, damn, what's the first thing that comes to my mind? And just think about it for a second. You got it? It could be the thing you're most proud of, the biggest thing you accomplished. I don't care what it is. All right, now, I want you to think about how many easy days do you remember when you went through that? Do you remember any? Because I know I don't. Not the biggest accomplishments. Because if there were a lot of easy days associated with any major accomplishment, then you're probably afraid of a lot of things, right? You probably are afraid to shoot big, or you're afraid. Now, everybody's Mount Everest is a different size. Don't get me wrong. And I would invite you to share that, because I would love to see, okay, 11, 18, I would love to see what some of your greatest accomplishments are, and be proud of them. But how many easy days do you remember? All right, so no matter what the outcome, there's value in the experience, there's value in the lesson. So the tip here, the treasure tip is value the gift. And have faith that you benefited from that. You did. I promise you there was a treasure there. You just chose not to take it with you. And don't let your experiences confine you. Let them inform you. Okay, don't be afraid to do something again because you tripped the first time. All right? Okay, so that's that one. Let's talk about outcomes and how people look at things. I say, although the expression sounds different in my head, then I'm going to give it to you, but you're going to get the gist. Short timers, they focus on wins. Long timers, they study their plans. What do I mean? Short timers, people who quit. People who quit, they focus on winning. They focus on the outcomes. People who are mainstays, who can last, they have a plan. And so what's the difference? Well, I want you to think about fear and worry here. Short timers People who quit early, quitters, people, right, just, they're going to lose, right? What happens? They're so worried about a victory right out of the gate. You are never more at risk of throwing in the towel than at the first stumble. Okay, so a short timer is very focused on winning early. And if they don't win, they get discouraged, they throw in the towel, and they quit. That's what happens, right? As if their expectations should be met. As if somebody with no experience who wants to try something that's new to them should immediately succeed. Believe me, if you are fortunate enough to have good success early on, then I think you really need to look at how you're going about doing what you're doing, because that success likely won't last if you're going to shoot really big. But that's for another day. Long timers, they tend to look at the plan, and everything that they do is done within the context of some kind of strategy that has plans along the way. They fall in love with the planning process, not the designated plan itself, because as they get into the process, they look at, based on what they're learning, which puzzle piece of my plan is this? It's just a step. Okay, now I have experience with that. Now I understand that. It might not have turned out how I would have liked, but it's just a step in the overall process. And once they get more info, so I think planning is such a silly thing, right? Like, I have a plan and I'm going to stick to it. That's about the dumbest thing in the world that you can do, because plans are built based on what? Your own experience of something you did previously, or somebody else's experience that they've shared with you, and now you put a plan together. Except what? The moment you take your first step, you now know more than you did before you started the plan. Why would you not be comfortable altering that plan, recognizing the experiences that you're gaining and the data you're gaining are helping you put together a better plan? I'm not talking about, oh, that didn't work, I'm out, right? That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about keeping the same plan within the strategy that you designed for your life, for yourself, for your project, for your whatever. Okay, so keep that in mind here. And the tip here that I want to pull forward for you is, put the plan together, put the strategy together, put the plan together. Here's another one of my lines. Big plans, tiny steps, fulfills dreams. Big plans means I'm going to shoot big. Go big. Put the puzzle pieces in place as you take your steps forward. This is what's going to get you to where you want to go. Your fears are going to dissipate the more knowledge you gain about how aligned the plan is. Okay, so make sure that is part of your life. Then we have overwhelm, the bigness of it, right? The book example I used. How am I going to write? There's so many things. Oh my goodness. Well, I will tell you, one actual step is going to do far more for you than all that mental overwhelm, emotional overwhelm, what you want to call it. This is this fits nicely with the expression about the elephant. How do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. Or the other one, the other one related, you can't eat an elephant in one bite, right? Same kind of thing. Here again, action, taking your step, having your bias for action and getting in motion. But let's talk about this one. That book example, right? Yeah, there's 1,000 things you need to do to write a book. It's literally that many. But if you start thinking about and worrying about and putting your energy into the things that you are afraid of, like it might flop. What if no one reads it? That's not going to help you, right? No amount of worry and anxiety is ever going to change the outcome other than preventing you from starting. So what do you think about? Okay, write down a list of everything that needs to be done. I need to pick a topic. I need to make an outline. I need to set time aside for a writing schedule, maybe prepare a good writing schedule. Maybe I need to get my butt out of bed very early to write it before work. How many words do I need to write a day? How long will this take me? Do I want to put a plan and a deadline for when I want to have the book written? Do I need to find a literary agent? Do I want to self-publish? How do I find a publisher? Which one do I choose? What should I have them do for me or not do for me? What are these royalty things? How do I make money if I make money for this? How can I use the book? What does the dang cover going to look like? All that stuff. Well, guess what? People do that. People release books every day, right? So If you have a bias for action, you will gain momentum. Momentum will make you happy. It in and of itself will feed itself. So when you come to stuff like this where you're feeling overwhelmed, just use, I have like a one action step or a one action rule or something like that. But what is the next thing I need to do right now? Now, this works a couple of ways. So there's hey, I want to write the book. What's the next step I need to do? Okay, when I'm done with that, what's the next step? If you want to have visibility, you want to have a plan with a list, that's great. I like that. But don't be thinking about the 70 things you need to do. Think about the next 3 to 5. What are they? And then just focus on the one thing you actually need to do with your eye on what the next thing is and the next thing will be. And go that route. I used to work with a woman, Nicole, and she was on a team that I managed. And inevitably, about once a week, she would come into my office and say, Andy, I'm so overwhelmed. I have so much to do. And oftentimes, the solution, we did the same thing every week. I said, okay, Nicole, let's sit down. All right, where's your list of all the things that you need to do? And she'd say, okay, well, here's some things and here's some, so like, get these in order. Let's look at them all together. And all right, so obviously you can only do one thing at a time. I like to think that you can only do one thing at a time. You can do more things. You can do multiple things at the same time. You can only concentrate on one thing at a time. So sure enough, as soon as she would see that list written out and we would break it down and I would say, okay, what's the next thing you need to do? And then what will you do after that and after that? And just sequence these and so on and so forth. And all of a sudden, right, the blood pressure would go down. It's the same thing for you. But just get that bias for action. All right, next thing. All right, so I've got this bias for action, right? But I want to do something mega, big. I want it to have value. How do I look at it from that standpoint? I got news for you. Fewer enables bigger. You can only have so many big stones in your life, big goals, big priorities. It's true. The less is more will never become more evident to you as you go and get older. Right? As you go through life, if you want to accomplish big things, you have to reduce the number of things that have your attention. So when you think about your life right now, I look at my life, and my life is stripped down to, right? And these are all priority ones, right? I have you guys, me, my work, right? Us together. That's meaningful to me, and we can go deep. I have my wife, my really immediate close family and friends, right? That's a huge priority. And I have my health. And everything that I do that isn't work or my family is geared toward creating a healthy lifestyle for myself. Sans my cigars and my martinis, no jokes about those, right? So, but you get what I'm saying. You can only go so big on so many things. So I want you to think about that and the way that I look at that is, and I've given you this line before, right? You can only commit we only have a finite amount of energy and resources ourselves. And yes, we can manufacture some energy, but it's a finite resource. So when you think about going about allocating that energy, that time, and all that good stuff, right? You have to be able to commit to certain things in your life. And no one who ever undercommitted ever over-delivered, right? So if you are getting pulled away from, you got to get your focus back on the things that matter. It's easier to do that when you have fewer of them. So I want you to think about that. And one other little, I'm going to give you a 1-second test here. When you want to do something, you're going to get to a fork in the road at some point. And you're going to determine, was that a deep desire, like it means something to me? Or was it just a passing fancy, a fleeting whatever, something a friend mentioned, an idea I had, and I wasn't totally committed to it? You're gonna get there. And what I want to make sure that you don't do is you don't get so deep into it that you then realize it was just a passing fancy because you weren't really committed to it. And so, one of the things that I would do here is I would think about, is this something that is about, who I want to be? Like, is this going to be a part of me? But first thing I would do here is I would make shorter lists. I would have them have deeper meaning so that it enables you to have bigger accomplishments. Okay, and then the last thing that I want to talk about is how do you actually push through those forks in the roads? We'll talk a little bit more about the fork in the road here in a second, but you're going to have a lot of those, right? You're not going to be sure if these things are really meaningful to you and you have fear of starting or you're worried along the way. This thing to me, I save the best for last. This is what will pull you through every single time, is caring is a superpower. You will never be able to accomplish great stuff until you give yourself full permission to care. And what comes with care? Hurt, right? I give you permission to get hurt, okay? It's gonna happen. But how you look at it, and if it matters enough to you, you'll pull through it. So when you get to that fork in the road, right? Is it a deep desire or is it a passing fancy? The 1 second tip that I want you to think about is, if you're not sure, ask yourself, does this align to who I want to be? Right? Is what I'm about to undertake genuinely going to be a piece of me? Is this the style of my life that I want? Is this the way I want my business to be? Is this what I want to be known for? Is this what I strive to be? And while this isn't an absolute bulletproof test, because you're early in the process, if you're considering about undertaking something, and those of you that are in my goal setting class, the master class, everything that we do is around who you want to be, not why you want to do it, not your why, your who, right? So does this align? And so when you get to the fork in the road, you're going to know the difference between whether this is a passing fancy or whether this is a deep desire. If you don't care enough, caring is your greatest asset and not caring is your worst enemy. Because if you don't care, you're not going to put the effort into it. And when times get tough, you're going to throw in the towel. So believe me, if you care about something, you'll let it pull you through. Okay, so these seven beliefs of mine have really changed my life, my happiness, my level of accomplishments, and my focus on the things that I do. It's so much more enriched, it's so much more rewarding, and I don't have many worries. I have stressors in my life. We all have that. I'm talking about fear and things that you can control, right? I'm not talking about a loved one gets sick and stuff like that. Of course, it's going to weigh on you. I'm talking about how do I get over that fear so I can get started on the big things that I want. So let me just recap these really quick. Dang. I had so many cards here. Wait, give me a second, people. Hold on. Here we go. Focus makes problems disappear. If you want more on this, it's in the leadership program. Remember, go easy on yourself. You are always a work in progress. There's a treasure in everything that you do. Short timers focus on wins. Long timers study their plans. One actual step is going to be much better than all that emotional overwhelm. Fewer is better. It enables bigger and caring. Well, your secret weapon is caring. All right, so I hope you enjoyed that. I knew I can get that in a half hour. So I hope you enjoyed that. But those 7 things have really, really carried me through a lot of those episodes where you just get afraid to do something. Now, if you're interested tomorrow, I'm not going to go into this. I'm just making the announcement here. Tomorrow at 11, I'm going through 10 steps of how once you make the commitment to do something, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, mechanically, what would I do? How would I set my life up? What are the things I would focus on? What are the things that'll help enable me to become the best at it and build it and build it and build it? And so if that's something you're interested in, hop into the leadership program. You can check that out. Maybe Kara could plop that up in the chat. And because you could check that out on your own, but tomorrow at 11, and the members of that program get the replay, and there's 3 or so different ways you can become a member in that. And if you got any questions, hit us up at support@milewalk.com. And if you're watching this on the recording, I probably, depending on when you're watching this, might have already shot that with my leadership crew, so you can catch both of these. All right, hope you enjoyed that. For anybody watching on the recording, I'll see you next week. Everybody else who's here, let's go to the Q&A. Let me pile up my cards here, of which I had a lot. My staff. Wait, as we're getting ready, my staff is telling me that Laura Cobb is here, and so Laura Cobb is one of our beloved boot campers and lifetime leader. She's in the leadership program. And Laura, hey to you. I want you to know I sent you an email. And for everybody else, this is maybe a tidbit of info that I would like you to know about. Laura put out an ebook. And she sent me her first chapter. She emailed it to me. And it sat in my queue as I was trying to get to it. She waited patiently. So Laura, I'm glad that you're here, because I want to say this to you. A couple of weeks back, it was a Wednesday night, and I was finishing up my workday. I planned my Thursday. I reviewed all my coaching sessions that I had the next day, and maybe the live office hours, and I finished all that up. I went out to the front, my front yard, by my front door, and looked out over my wife's beautiful garden, which I have absolutely nothing to do with. I poured myself a Barolo, I lit up a Monte Cristo, and I had your chapter printed out, and I read it. And not only did I read it, I really enjoyed it. And on the second page, in the 4th paragraph, and I quote verbatim from memory, that I loved, when you said, on the 16th second, I looked around at all the other doctors and thought, that's it? What just happened? Where's the parade and balloons? And I actually think the title of the book should be The 16th Second, the moment you finally ask yourself why. But I love that. It resonated with me, because I gotta tell you, along the spirit of what we talked about here today, everything we do in our lives, there are our own personal protocols. And while no one will police them when we don't follow through with them, no one is gonna throw us a parade when we do. So I'm glad you came to the realization. I'm sure the rest of the book, which I'm sure I'll read, is great. But I just wanted to say thanks for sending it to me. I did look at it, and I really enjoyed it. And for anybody else who's interested, you can catch up with Laura Cobb, and she can maybe get you to the link to get the book, and you can check it out. I was really fascinated by some of the stuff in the first chapter. So I just wanted to give you the full Monty on that, because I know you were waiting patiently for me to look at it. So, all right. And what did she say? You were the inspiration for that chapter, believe it or not. Not kidding, 100% true. Can you believe that I can remember stuff verbatim like that? From a chapter I read 3 weeks ago, or whatever it was. I've been meaning to tell you, and we've only had a couple shows, and I was watching the replay last week from Live Office Hours, and I saw that you were here, so I said to the team, I said, look, if you see Laura Cobb, let me know she's here, because I want to tell her that. And I think you and I are going to be getting together at some point here in the not so distant future, but that I think is a nice little public announcement for you. I hope people, grab your book and remember this. Actually, wait, one more thing. In the spirit of what we were talking about today. And wait, where's my one of these? Look, you are all a work in progress. Okay, you are. I am. You are. It is. And you never know what somebody's going through at any moment in time. So go easy on yourself and go easy on them, because you just don't know everything that they've been through in their lives And I think it just starts with being warm and welcoming and open to discovering and learning these, anybody who wants to share themselves with you. But believe me, and I, as somebody who, when somebody joins my job search boot camp, the coaching program that we used to call the boot camp, they send me an email about themselves, and I'm just blown away at the lives that these people have lived that get into the programs that I have. And so it's really something else. Give yourselves a pat on the back. And I want you to give yourself a pat on the back, and I want you to go get what you want in life. Okay? So just make sure that you do that, and you do that for others. So, okay, Laura Cobb, great to have you in all this stuff. All right, let's get to some questions here. And let me see. Got my little Doxy cup today. There he is. Adam Stark, my man from the other side of the pond. What do you got? When targeting companies I know, a direct boss is a priority and ATS last resort. You're learning. If I can't find the boss, who else should you target, and what's the best pecking order before the ATS? Love it. Okay, love this one, buddy. Great question, wonderful one to kick us off. So, just real quick priorities and the way I'm gonna do a little mixing and matching here. So I'll give you the whole kind of little concatenation. I target companies, not roles. So the primary focus of the job search, priority one, what are the companies I want to target? Don't you worry your pretty little self about whether they've got an opening or not. Okay? Where do I want to go? How can I get there? Let's find somebody who I can tag, tackle, send a message to, or whatever. Sometimes it's a multi-step process to get there. Second thing is, it's okay to look at, are there open positions, but they should be in the context of your target companies. If you find an open position and that company was not on your target list, you add it. If you find people that you know, your long lost friend who, whatever, you stumbled across on Facebook, works at such and such, does that look like a good company? Into the target company list. All right. And then you look for connections, bosses, try to identify them, see if you know anybody who knows the boss, see if you know the recruiter, if you know the HR person, if you know anybody who works at the company or whatever. So just look for relationships. Now, the preference is to get somebody to introduce you to the boss. I realize that's a luxury, right? But if you're going to go and you're going to go cold, now we're getting to the spirit of specifically what Adam asked. I'd go boss first. I probably would go teammate second. I would go into the recruitment department third, HR and recruiters in that order. Why? Okay, boss hunting works effectively if and only if you have requisite skills that boss will need at this moment in time. That is why it works. The intersection. I do this, I need this, he, she has this, bang, connection, okay? Always. Good bosses are always on the lookout for great people, even if they don't have open positions. And a boss might have 10 people. If they've got 10 people, 2 or more could go. They might trade out. They might have an open position that hasn't been published yet, and so on. And if a boss has 10 people and no open requisitions, and you send a message to the recruiter who has open recs for other hiring officials, can you see the difference in level of priority? That guy doesn't need anybody. He would go over on that team, right? So that's why recruiters are down on the line. Okay, so boss first, go at it. Second thing, look for somebody on the team. Hey, I'm in the middle of my job search, and I noticed you work at such and such a company. I was looking at this company because I was thinking of potentially applying. As part of my due diligence, I wanted to check in with you to see how you enjoy working there. Would you be open to sharing that with me? Right? Something like that. You didn't ask them to refer. You didn't ask anything. You asked them for their help and their insight. Okay? Multi-step chess, not checkers, right? Okay. Sure, Adam, I'd be happy to share with you. I really like working here. Great, Andy, what do you like about working? Is there anything in particular or is there anything you particularly love? Next iteration, right? Or something like that, and you're having a dialogue. That's awesome. You know what? Based on what you just said, I think I'm going to apply. Before I do that, just out of curiosity, would you benefit if I was one of your referrals? That's a yes or no question. That's not a will you submit me, that's a will you benefit. Third response. As a matter of fact, I really like you, Adam, because you're a great guy. Send me your resume, blah, blah, blah. Hey, this is great. Maybe we could have a phone call real quick, or maybe I trust you enough. I'll pass this along to my boss, right? That's the way to go. All right, now, this is all assuming that you're not sure if there's an opening, and if there is an opening, you can point to the opening that, hey, I was considering applying for this position. When you start doing stuff like that, what happens is you're introducing the possibility that somebody could select you out. I'm on the team and I'm looking at Adam's resume and I'm thinking I know what I do, but he doesn't have this skill, and I as a team member think he should, when I as the boss might not care if he has that or not, right? So you start getting into weird stuff here, but I would go that next. And then third, I would hit the HR and recruitment department. And if you're fortunate enough to hit a smart recruiter or a smart HR person, what they're going to do is they're going to say, oh man, I know, Andy's always on the lookout for those good event planners, good salespeople, good whatever, right? Like what you are. So I'm gonna send it over to Andy, and we're gonna let Andy decide this kind of thing. Or, that's how I would go. And man, I would be like, that whole process, I would be willing to take months before I ever put my resume into an applicant tracking system. And some of you I know are out there, I know you're out there snickering, right? Well, Andy, I don't have months. Yeah, that's right. You don't have months. You need your job fast. So where's your time better spent? Go out and find more of these companies that you can do that with, so that you are constantly pressing out into the world yourself, giving yourself the highest probability of getting acknowledged in an interview. Going into the applicant trashing system is not that way. So I would be sending this to many, many locations each day, however many you can, or however many you can over the course of the week. And I'm not worried about that job. I'm worried about my job search. I'm not concerned. Where is my damn card here? What did I just get done saying? Hang on, where is it? Short timers, you're focusing on the wins. Long timers studying their plans. My plan says that I'm gonna find my job. Andy's telling me that if I have faith and I keep doing the job search challenge type activities, if you don't know what that is, just head to my YouTube channel. If I keep sending messages to people, then I have a greater likelihood of getting responses and okay, that's what I'm talking about. Where you're thinking, well, I got to go on the applicant tracking system and hopefully I get a win. Well, you're going to get a ton of losses that way. So put the plan together, stick with it, stay consistent, and use that pecking order. That is a damn good question there, Adam. I love it. I love it. I know I really rambled, but there was a lot of great lessons in that one, and I wish you a lot of luck. But that's how I would go about it. That's how I would think it through. Aylin, my all-around awesome person. We need to just, you know what? We just need a whole new hashtag for you. Is because it's like, instead of making you write all those things out. All right, one of two. Preparing for a meet and greet that's taking place at a fintech company tomorrow afternoon. The open house was yesterday, today, and tomorrow, but can only make tomorrow work. Okay, I want to prep as best as possible other than reading everything I can on the company, background of top people, and preparing what I bring to the table. What else should I do or be ready for? Okay, this is a great question. Let's keep this simple. Great shirt and great mug, by the way. Great coffee mug. the way that I approach these meet and greets is always about getting them to talk about them. Seriously, like, your goal is not to talk about you. Your goal is to get them to talk about them. What are your company's greatest challenges? What have you loved most about working there? What do you feel is the biggest challenge in getting the right people? What kind of talk to them, ask the questions. I would be so much more focused on what questions I was going to ask about how do I extract what their problems and what their issues are going to be. And then I would follow up with messages to them that address those challenges. I really enjoyed speaking to you. I was especially grateful that you shared blah, blah, this with me, and that you're facing these challenges. And then you can either as a initial messaging, or if you did manage to talk about that in the meet and greet, which I hope you could have, I would add it into and echo it in the messages, the follow-ups. Make sure if this actually truly is a meet and greet, I'm assuming you mean in person, get their business cards and all that other good stuff and their email address, or know what their email configuration is and just say, okay, well, what's your name? And, is it okay if I email you, or whatever it might be? But that's what I would do. It is. I have a video out there that is called how to use your 5 minutes at a job fair to get an interview, or something like that. Job fair. Just search my channel for job fair. It's the same kind of concept. That's what I would do there, for sure. 100%. Lots of luck. Let me know how it goes. And I'll see you tomorrow. Mom LaCivita, great to see you. Love you. Thanks for the birthday gift, Mom. Vinny! When interviewing, recruiter wrote me the base salary was X. The offer has base salary at X minus 10%. I'm assuming that means minus 10. When presenting offer, HR manager said the recruiter made a mistake. Is there anything that I can or should do? I love this question, and I love it because of this. There is no mistake in what the recruiter told you, meaning the recruiter might have misquoted the salary target. That's irrelevant. When you get to the point where they're giving you the offer, I would not be talking about what the recruiter told me. I would stay away from that, because that's irrelevant. It is. If the recruiter said it was 50 and they gave you 60, you'd be happy? No, you'd be asking for 70 or 80 or 90. That's what you should be thinking. Except emotionally, you felt like that was a victory. Here, you feel like it's a loss. I wouldn't say, I don't care if it's X minus 10 or 100%. Like, when you think about, well, not 100, I don't want you working for free. But when you think about it, now is the time. What the recruiter told you is irrelevant, right? The recruiter doesn't determine what you get paid. You should be having a conversation either with the hiring official or through the recruiter or HR person who should be relaying what you want to the hiring official. That's how that goes. Those are the only two options. Talk to the hiring official directly, or you talk to the HR person and you tell them to go tell the hiring official what you're saying. That the HR doesn't determine what you get paid. So that's, I would approach it by, okay, now you have to go in to make your counter offer. Your counter offer is not dependent on what you were incorrectly informed the target pay was. It's, did you make your case in the interviewing process? So your argument is around, okay, hang on, based on the value I'm going to contribute, and so on. All of that stuff is in the salary negotiation playlist. So I would check that out, Vinny. Remember, when you are making arguments, counteroffer arguments, or any arguments about your value, it has nothing to do with what they told you they'd be willing to pay you. That's irrelevant. It's, do you feel that you are being paid fairly for the value you are going to contribute? If you do and you want to accept the number, that's fine. If you don't and you want to counteroffer, that's better. If you do feel you're fairly paid, I would still counteroffer. But I would go at all of that stuff. But you have to make relevant points, and what the recruiter told you is irrelevant. It's just a matter of how you feel as a result of what he informed you incorrectly of. So that's how I would approach that. Hey, by the way, if you are enjoying this little package and you are enjoying the Q&A, please make sure to share this video. Make sure you hit the like button and please subscribe to the channel because you know it hurts me when you don't get my new stuff every Tuesday and Thursday. And if we are not connected on LinkedIn, you know I love to be connected with you first degree on LinkedIn. Please send me a connection request and say, Andy, I was one of those 155 people who were on the channel during the Q&A, and you said make sure to send you a connection request because I like to give you my network. Plus, I like to see what issues and you're facing and what's on your mind. If you follow me, that's great, but I don't get to see what you're doing and what you're sharing, and I like to see that. And I do look at my LinkedIn feed a couple of times every day. So I would really enjoy being connected. All right, Kevin Martinez, my boot camper extraordinaire. Okay, what do we got here? Let's see. I am searching for work full-time. I'm sending 10 boss hunting letters out a day. Not enough or too much. So far, my outreach to interview rate is only 2%. I'm sending 100% of my day targeting bosses. Okay, so one of the things that I would say to you is a couple things have happened in the last 3 weeks, let's say. Now, I don't know from when, I know you got back at this recently. We've had a lot of people, so first caveat to all this for everybody's benefit, if you're any of you are experiencing this. I had 3 coaching sessions with people last week who said that they were sending boss hunting letters and people were not getting back to them. And I said to them, yeah, you're sending them in the middle of August and late August, and 100 days ago, I said August was going to be the worst month. Why? Well, the pandemic, we started to loosen up, notwithstanding what we're going through now, and people were getting the shot, and then, right, and then more people were getting the shot, then more people were going to start traveling and all that good stuff, feeling more comfortable, and August was going to be the worst month this year for job searching and getting hired because you're going to have a lot of people out on vacation, and then what happens is they're out on vacation, they're coming back, kids going to school, their inbox is full, and they're trying to get caught up. And then these 3 people wanted to have coaching sessions with me because they weren't getting responses like Kevin. And then between the time we scheduled the call and the time we actually had the call, all 3 of them got flooded with interviews. So we switched from tactical to interview prep in the sessions. I do believe that. Okay, now there are tons of job openings. Folks, you're going to get a message from me. I don't know when you're actually going to get this. I've been writing like crazy. The JOLTS report just came out. The JOLTS report, if you don't know what it is job openings and labor turnover survey in the United States. For the 5th straight month, we have set a record. There are nearly 11 million openings in the United States. And while I understand that there's various kinds of openings, the point is employers are hiring, they're growing, and they're hiring because of growth. And they have a lot of people leaving and turning, right, and to go to new employers. And the reason that's happening is because the hyper growth we're going through is causing employers to overpay for everybody because they have to replenish the people that left and they have to hire for the new slot, so they have to pay more, right? The supply and demand is out of whack. If you actually look at, I actually cut the graph for you, and I'm going to be sending it to you. I don't know if it's next Tuesday or the Tuesday after that. The graph looks like this. Growth, 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 COVID, back up, growth, 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 and now it goes like that. It literally looks like this. It's ridiculous. So there's openings, they're out there, companies are hiring, they're overpaying. Wait, actually, I think what I'm going to be sending you Tuesday is negotiating your pay raise, and I think or maybe that's the following week. Oh no, this one is no reservations and what to do if you don't get the job, and then the following week is I think negotiating your pay raise or something like that. Because whether you are getting a new job offer or you're working at your current company, you should be asking for pay raises right now. So anyway, but the reason I'm sharing all this with you, Kevin, and everybody is I want you guys to understand what's happening in the market. So you're coming in now into September where things should start loosening up. Now, Kevin, your 2% rate could be for any number of reasons. And the one thing I would point you to is the 5th session in the Job Search Challenge. I probably have pointed you there before, but there's a troubleshooting pecking order that you would go through. Am I targeting the right company? Am I targeting the right person? Is my resume in alignment? So just because you're now 10 a day is great. If there are 10 quality messages to 10 quality companies, and if you're targeting bosses, do you truly fit what they need? You could have a great resume and a great background, but if it doesn't fit what that boss needs, you might not get a response. So there's a pecking order. Is your resume aligned to what it is they need at this moment? That's if you're hitting the right boss and you got a resume that's congruent with what they need, you're going to have better success. Now, I don't know any of those things for you. I don't know what the target company list looks like. I mean, I know your background. I know you're a senior IT, director, VP, kind of that neighborhood, and I'm assuming you're targeting CIOs and other people, senior vice presidents of IT and those kinds of people for possibilities. And if that's the case, then my guess is you're probably doing the right stuff. But I would go to the 5th session in the Job Search Challenge. It's a separate training product in your library. I know you have access to that, so I would head there. And I would never say you're sending too many boss hunting letters on a given day. I prefer when I'm sending, so here's how I would approach this. If you are starting your search, send 3 messages a day. Why not send more? Because I want you to figure out what messaging is working. What messaging is working, what type of people is it working for, and then I want you to double down and triple down on what's working, and I want you to get away from what's not working. If you send 10 a day, you don't know for a while if any of those messages were effective. Now you send 50 in a week. You still don't know if any of them are effective or what's happening. So if I said, hey, everybody's out of the office, everybody's trying to recover and all that other good stuff, So you got to keep that in mind. I would probably start slower and then pick up once I knew I had the right formula. But for Kevin, for you, I would go back to session 5. So I can't say that it's too many a day. I would say I probably would start slower and see what's working, and then if you want to go up to 10, then send 10 only to the right companies, to the right people with the right message where you know it's working. So that's how I would approach that. That percentage does seem low to me. It really does. But give that a try. Session 5, Job Search Challenge. All right. My team is messaging me. Renata's got a message. Starting my new job after a 10-year break. I love it. I wanted to give you credit for all your videos. I used all of your advice from boss hunting to interview techniques to salary negotiation. Awesome. I love it. Renata, thank you. I actually think you might have even sent me something in LinkedIn, if I remember correctly. That's awesome. And you mentioned your, yeah, Kara, that Slack you just sent me, yes to that. So if somebody does, yeah, I'd be happy to address it. Sandy Briggs, hey, Laura F., you are a new boot camper. Great to see you. I love that. Look at that face. All right, Vinny from Belgium, nice. B, waiting news for internal promotion, good position, but company pays below market. Wanted my expected salary. I asked the range, said based on experience plus others with similar job and team. If offer, will talk advice. Okay. I would like you at this moment to go back to my live office hours from, I believe it was last week, and actually, I'm gonna actually have Stacy. I want to have Stacy go find. I can't remember. Stacy, can you do me a favor? Can you Slack me? Did you itemize the live office hours from last week by any chance in the description? I'm going to move on from B, and we're going to come back to B because I want to tell B to go right to the spot with Catherine's. Remember Catherine, who I answered last week about her pay increase, and she wanted more. She was getting more responsibilities, and I gave Catherine a 5-step formula for how to ask for that raise and make the argument. I want to send B right there. Can you let me know where in the live office hours video that is? If you just tell me, Slack me, or link me to that spot in. I don't want to have to go through the whole hour of live office hours. I want to give her just right what she needs. Can you do that for me? All right, wait, B, I'm going to get back to you. Hang on, Stacy's going to chase that down because that's the answer you need. Laura F., my new boot camper, had a phone screen with team lead a few weeks ago, but am also interested in a similar job within the same team. How do I best express my interest? Submit a separate job app or contact directly? Okay, Laura, home run question here. Folks, this is awesome and it's tricky, right? But wait, some rules of thumb. I'm going to give you some hard and fast ones. Laura, direct answer for you. Never under any circumstance, literally never. There's no reason to ever apply separately for a position in the same division, area, unit, whatever it might be, if you are currently in an interviewing process. Meaning, if you are actually interviewing and it's only been a few weeks, I would do this. Couple things. Andy Time Machine here. We're going back. At the beginning of the interview process, you say to the recruiter, hey, I'm really interested in this position or any others that you feel that I would add the most value on this team or wherever in your company. You know better than I do. So this is what I know is open. I'm very interested in it, but I want you to know I would be open to exploring any other options as well. We'll see if something else works. That's planting the seed. Then it opens their mind. Then you're going through the interviewing process. Then you discover there's something else within the same team. You go back to the recruiter direct. And now you can do a couple things. So fork in the road here. If they tell you, hey, Laura, this is great. We're going to be seeing you on Thursday, on Friday for the next round. Don't say anything. You perform the round. And then what I would do is if the recruiter was there or if you were able to go talk to the recruiter, I would say, this is really great. I'm really excited. I really love meeting those people, blah, 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 gush all over them, right? And then I also noticed as I was prepping that you also had, you could say, I set up an alert. I saw you have one of these. Is that, I didn't know would that also be a good fit for me? I just want to go back to what I told you earlier that I'd be open. Really, it's your company that I love, and I want to just figure out where I add the most value. And I want you to know that I would be open to that one as well, but I leave it to you to decide where you feel I would be best suited, right? Something like that. Now you raise the level of interest, meaning you raise the point that you are interested, and then you let the recruiter mention what you don't want to do, because this is the kiss of death. You go to the recruiter, you go to the team leader, you go to whoever and say, hey, I noticed there's another position. I'm more interested in that one. Okay, a lot of times what will happen is they'll be like, well, kind of liked you for this, but now I'm worried because you're not going to want to do this. You want the other job. The other job is not, we don't think you're qualified for that, or we don't, whatever. Who knows? Or maybe you are qualified for that, but they got somebody else that they can get to fill that, and then they really want you to fill this one. So you just want to be really careful. The point is, don't fill out any job apps, nothing. If the recruiter then says, okay, wait, I just need to associate your submission to that opportunity as well, can you go into the applicant tracking system and actually reapply, apply there? That's fine. But don't do that. Don't do that cold, and don't do that without talking to them, ever. There's no good can come of that, really. And if they say go apply, that's a different recruiter, it's a whatever. I know you said the same team here, so it's probably the same recruiter. But you want to make sure that you're leaning on your primary contact and you are turning control of the choice over to them. This is while you are in the interview process. You don't want to do anything that could adversely affect your candidacy. So, all right, great question. Manu Boot Camper, welcome to the program. And Stacy, is telling me let's go back to BGS. When you wanted the dollars, you were asking for the range based on the experience, similar job on the team. This is an internal promotion. Go to my live office hours. What was the date? 9/2. Go to the 9/2, September 2nd, live office hours. Go to 3550, the 3550 mark. And actually, don't worry about it, Stace. You don't need to drop it in the chat. It's the live office hours session. It's on my YouTube channel. Just go back in the record videos for the last couple of weeks. Last Thursday's live office hours. Go to about the 35-minute mark, and when Catherine asks the question about her additional responsibilities because her boss left in March and now it's she was hired in March and her boss left in June, and Catherine's been doing her boss's job and Catherine wants more dough. That's where you want to go. I answered all and I gave you five steps. Unrepentant Drew, greetings from Atlanta. Great to see you. Had my third interview with a firm last week. Fingers crossed for good news, but still sending out emails. Okay, all right, wait. Unrepentant Drew, you gotta put a happy picture on YouTube. I know you're a handsome guy. Man, you want to send good juju out into the world. Can we all send Unrepentant Drew, my Andrew from Atlanta, some good vibes on this job? This man needs a break. Send him some good juju. Cecilia, my boot camper from London, for Zoom interviews, is the dress code more relaxed now as opposed to in person? I would say yes. So if I'm getting on a Zoom interview, okay, so this is paranoid Andy guy. So I'm one of those, executive recruiter Andy guy would tell every job candidate, this is pre-COVID, right? Go in, dress to the nines. Okay, suit, tie for the men, ladies, right? Business suit, skirt suits, okay, all that. Just be formal business attire. And I would say that for everything. And if they say, oh no, come dress relaxed, we don't want, it's okay, business casual or whatever, then you do that. For a Zoom interview, I would probably say to the recruiter, what's appropriate for your Zoom calls? I would normally go to an interview dressed in full business attire. Is it, do you have a preference on the dress code? I would actually ask. Now, if you don't want to ask, no one is going to hold it against you if you go dressed to the nines. Right? You ain't going to be penalized for getting gussied up, but you might get penalized, if you're wearing, how I show up in my t-shirts every week, right? So you might not want to do that. But I personally, if I'm interviewing somebody right now, I just, come as you are kind of thing. So that's I wouldn't go as you are. I mean, I would business attire at a minimum, but I probably would go all out. All right, Julie, my boot camper, what's the good word? I hope you're enjoying the program. LA Julie. All right, midway through interview process, boss left the company. I already interviewed with the boss's boss. He was impressed. How can I best sell myself for the departed boss's position? Quick follow-up. Also, who best to approach to be considered for departed boss's position? Boss's boss, internal recruiter who is scheduling additional interviews for first position. Okay, first things first. Jules, LA Jules. Okay. So, in this case, the first thing that's going through my mind, this is like you go to the doctor's office, boom, they hit the knee, you're right, your foot goes up. Why'd the boss leave? They owe you that. Don't let them escape. Give me the goods. Give me the real goods. Now, it's not that big a deal that the boss left in the middle of your interviewing process. People leave companies every day. But I want to know why this person left. Maybe the boss's boss is a nut, right? So maybe this person got a job internally. Maybe the person went and relocated. Maybe the person's or he or she's husband or wife got a job somewhere else. I don't know, who knows? But I would want to know. Okay, so that'd be the first thing. And the second thing I would do is I would be looking at that boss's responsibilities. Now, one of a couple things. Maybe they posted the job, in which case I'd look at the job description. If they didn't, go to that person's LinkedIn profile and see if it was laid out, right? What he or she did. And then I would look at that. And then as I was telling my stories in the interviewing process, I would be highlighting how I had certain skills that would enable me to do that job. Now, what I also would do is, this is me, I would go to the recruiter and I would ask the recruiter, okay, so I know you got another position to fill. I'd love your opinion on whether you think, based on my background, I would be capable of handling that position to the extent that you need. Something like that. What do you think? Would you consider that? Or I'd love your, see, I generally ask for the opinion, right? What do you think? What's your take on that? Get the feedback from the recruiter. If the recruiter says, yeah, I think you're there, I think you're close, or I think they're looking for a little more this or that, I would say to the recruiter, the most important thing is I get in your company because I love it. I just want to know, since this person vacated the role, whether you think I'd be equipped for that, or if I'm happy to just keep going with the interview process and you slot me where you think is appropriate. But I would do it that way, and I would go to the recruiter first to see if, in this case, if the recruiter had any thought. Now the recruiter is going to have to fill both of these positions, so get the recruiter's reaction. And if the recruiter says, I'm not sure, maybe have a conversation with the hiring official or mention to him that you're interested. Now, I don't know what this position is. And so, if you're an individual contributor and this person was a manager of many people and you had never managed people or something of that nature, was there's just an immediate gap, you can see it. I wouldn't get my hopes up, but I don't know. I don't know what the delta is. So that's how I would approach that. And I would go to the recruiter first. And if it's a situation where you're going back to interview, natural course of the process, meaning you already have something scheduled, you're going in there, you're going to go talk to somebody, and it happens to be the boss's boss, and you want to raise it because you have their attention in an interview, you could do that there. But if something is not yet planned, I'd go to the recruiter and communicate that. That's how I'd handle it. I'd also make sure I was on as good terms as possible when I did that. That's a great question, my boot camper. Lots of luck with it. Grace, I think you're my boot camper, Grace. Hi, Andy. I don't think the post-interview thank you email necessarily translates to Europe. I had an interview a while ago that I thought went really well, didn't get it. Okay, those are completely separate issues. And we have far too much evidence that thank you concept, that template I give you, is worldwide, universally works. So that's that thought. I'm guessing if you didn't get an interview, it had nothing to do with your thank you email. So that's that point. Recently heard through the grapevine that they thought the idea of a thank you email was inappropriate, gimmicky, and needy. It's not the norm here. So I am not hearing that normally. I'm not sure in Europe specifically where you are. And if that is the case, I would ask yourself, if somebody had the courtesy to spend 5 minutes and send me a message that was thoughtful and thanked me for my time and expressed their enthusiasm, if they thought that was gimmicky and needy and whatever, my question to you would be, is that the kind of company you want to work for? So what I would tell you, Grace, because I just care about you. I just care about your happiness. So if I'm you, I'm going to tell you the same thing I would tell Kevin, right? Marketing is testing. So you want to go and start interviewing and don't send thank you emails and see if that works. That would be okay with me. But any company that wouldn't hire you because you sent a thank you email, borderline some of the most ridiculous stuff I've heard. So that's my thought on that. I mean, straight and true. Tony P, great to see you, buddy. See you October 22nd, 3 o'clock Frenchies. Gene, what's the good word? How are you? David Mills, see you tomorrow, Gene. See you tomorrow, Tony. David Mills, how are you? Jim R. Oh, look at all these boot campers right in a row. Maureen. And Vicky. Oh, you guys are so awesome. Gemma, Kristen, how are you? B, hey. B, check that 3550 mark. Kevin Corson, my new boot camper. Great to have you, buddy. Hope you're enjoying the program. Joyce, great to see. Oh, look at that. More boot campers. And Carlos and Gail, good to go. Great to see you a few weeks back. We got your email. I'm assuming Kara responded. And would love to get your friend in the program. Jeff, my boy. Jeff, thank you for the birthday card. I did get it. And Tom Phillips and Deb, you guys are so great. All right, what do we get? Getting ready for 3 networking meetings, but may get very good contacts. No questions right now. Awesome. B, waiting news for interim. I saw that one. B, same thing. Go to the 3550 mark. Deb Chapman, how's the new job? I think of you often. Debs. Carlos, do you tell a prospective employer that you are in the final stages of another interview process? Yes, final answer. So, y'all, it works to your advantage to, throughout the entire interviewing process, to communicate everything you have going of matter in a timely fashion. So what do I mean? So let's talk about this, because while I know I have videos out there about this subject, I want to make sure that we're talking this one through today, because I think this is going to be a common problem. Because 11 million jobs are open in the U.S. Carlos, I'm not sure where you are, but you know what I'm saying. Like the world right now is in hire mode. And there's a lot of open positions, not just in the U.S., but across the world. And yes, there are pockets that are hurting, but that is like that every day of all time. There will always be somebody zigging and somebody zagging. When you get into an interview process, when it's the first one that you're starting, you say to them, you are the only people that I'm interviewing with. I will let you know if anything comes up. In the meantime, can you tell me what the candidate pipeline looks like? How many people are you interviewing? Right? It's quid pro quo. All right. Now, a week or two goes by. You're in the interviewing process with company 1. Company 2 surfaces. When you go to company 2, you say, I'm interviewing with company 1. I interviewed with the recruiter. I'm going to be interviewing with the hiring official next week. It's for this position with this company. Great. You go back to the hiring company 1. You want to say, hey, I wanted to let you know. Now, you have to be smart and you have to determine, am I going in to talk to somebody in a day or two? Or do I not have my interview scheduled? If you just start something, the next interaction, I stress the word interaction, you have with company 1, you let company 1 know you now have company 2 on the hook. Okay? You don't have to, like, every time something pops up, send an email to everybody. But in the natural course of the process, you want to make sure you're communicating. And as you get down to the end, if you're getting further along, then you might want to, in between interactions, communicate what's happening if it's noteworthy, like I'm about to get an offer. They're waiting for the paperwork. I'm negotiating right now. Okay, why do you want to do this? Just so you know, telling them what you have going nothing bad's going to happen because of that. I'm keeping you informed, just like I want you to keep me informed of my status and the other people's status and where I stand, right? That's equal. You are earning a reputation as a communicator. That's good. It makes employers relax because they know if anything happens with Carlos, he's going to come and he's going to tell me. So if Carlos is about to get an offer, I'm not worried I'm going to lose Carlos. Carlos is going to tell me he's going to get an offer, and then we're going to hurry the heck up. And we're going to try to get him through the rest of the process. All right, because what happens is you have to plan for success, meaning you have to plan for multiple job offers. Okay, because when you get down to the end, what's going to happen? You're going to ask me, Carlos is going to say, well, hey, Andy, I got 3 offers coming. What do I tell these companies? I'm going to say, well, there's, I don't know, 9 different combinations of things I would say to each one of them, depending on the sequence in who's your favorite, which one's coming first, is number 1 coming first, is number 3 coming first, and everything you say is going to be dependent on what you want to happen. What did I get done saying? What's the thing here about focus on what you want to happen, not what you don't want to happen. So if I want this one to go through, I'm going to have to go to that one and say, okay, you're my lead pony. Hey, I like you. These folks are going to make me an offer. Is there a chance we can expedite this? Right? Kind of thing. You're going to have to go through all that, which I'm not going to go through right now. But my point is, by communicating along the way, you will have earned a reputation as a communicator, and what else will you do? If you need to request additional time, and let's say company 2 is not caught up with company 1, company 2 is going to say, that Carlos kept us informed and we knew this was a possibility, so now it's coming to fruition, so we need to hurry the heck up. Carlos, hang on, we'll get everybody on board on Monday. You come in, we'll do a round of interviews, and we'll know, kind of thing. You're going to have a greater likelihood of, how about this one? Well, hang on, I got the offer. But company 1, remember I told you I was interviewing with company 2 and 3? I just checked with them. It looks like everything's going to be wrapped up next week. Can I have the extra week I need to make sure that I go through this and so I'm making an informed decision? Kind of thing. You have a greater likelihood of getting the grace period at that point. If you go to company 1 who didn't know you were interviewing with company 2 and 3 and you say, oh, sorry, I have these 2 other things and I want to play them out for the next 2 weeks. You're like, what are you talking about? You didn't even tell me, right? So these are the kind of things that help you. It's chess, not checkers, right? So you're earning the reputation as a communicator. So yes, you share, but you don't interrupt the natural flow of the recruitment process to stick in an insertion that says, oh, hey, by the way, I had an initial 20-minute screen with some company that just popped up. They don't need to know that right then, but if you go back there in a week, you could say, hey, look, it's early stages, but I want to let you know I started the interviewing process with such and such a company for such and such a position. So that's how I would approach that. And Carlos, I don't know if you're in the boot camp, in my job search coaching program, but if you are, there is a whole session on how to handle all this. And it's in the negotiation section, but really, handling multiple job offers is a process that starts from the moment you apply, not the moment you get an offer. That's a great question. Stephen Green, what's a good word? And Cornelia and Gary Hoove, my man. How you do? Oh, you guys are, all 3 of you guys, so great. And Stacy has given you that video I released sometime last year. Hi, Terenia. Patricia. Oh, I love that name. I love that Italian name. Donna, Papio, Gail, the word distraction is dangerously close to the word destruction. Important to get your vowels priorities. It sure is. Thanks, Grace. You are a work of art. Thank you. Very true about plagiarizing. No business can give service exactly like Disney. No one can coach just like Andy. Stephen, thank you. Can I tell you guys something? I've never said this publicly. You guys get that in this digital world that we live in, that people steal stuff. One time, one of you beautiful people commented on my YouTube channel that somebody on another YouTube channel had not only taken my material, but they literally recorded my video, literally word for word, even with my inflections, behind a screen. So it was like an audio. And so I discovered who this person was. I went to their site. They had 4 of my videos, a cover letter video, a resume video, an interview video, and so on, as their own work, and they were advertising that of how they were a career coach, and these were the areas that they could help you in. So obviously we had a cease and desist and all that good stuff. These are things that occur on a weekly basis in the Mile High Academy that we know this. We can't find all of where it's being stolen. And like I said, the plagiarizer never sees the invisible work that makes the masterpiece the masterpiece. Folks, you got to remember that, but you cannot be discouraged that these things will happen to you. And it's a great form of compliment, right? That that what's the expression, right? Copying or imitation is the highest form of compliment, but stealing is still illegal. So I appreciate that, Stephen Green, and I wish you guys could see some of the issues we deal with. I just truly do. And we laugh them off. Keith, my good man, and Dana and John, you guys are awesome. Otelia, what's the good word, my dear? How to apply to jobs in a different state if I'm open to move but don't have a plan when and where, because it depends on where I get a job. I've already lost chances because of no moving date. Okay, so Otelia, I actually have a video that is exactly what you need, but we're going to give you some color here too. I have a video on YouTube. It's literally titled How to Get an Out-of-State Job. And I take you through the different steps. There's nine or 10 steps that you want to do. And one of those has to do with the communication of your move. And so just so everybody understands, as a recruiter, as a company, when we're hiring, the one thing that recruiters and hiring officials and organizations get nervous about is the falling through of your move, meaning, she said she was going to move and now she's not moving, or something else came up. It increases the level of difficulty and lowers the level of probability drastically when you are an out-of-state candidate. So what you want to do is you want to say something in the order of, I've made my decision to move to your town. I'm going to move once I get an offer. So just say that. It's okay to say that. Then what I would do is, you didn't say when exactly you were going to move after you get the offer. Then what happens is you'll negotiate those terms. Now, we are noticing, and this has been going on for a year, that when people get new jobs, organizations have grown more comfortable in letting you kind of slow roll the move because they've gotten comfortable with people working remotely. So we had one candidate, a fellow boot camper of yours that is in Connecticut, got a job out of state, and it's a large company, and normally he would have to move like within 2 months. That was their standard practice. They gave him 2 years to move. Now, I recognize that it might have cost you, but I'm guessing that that organization, if they are absolutely in love with you, they will accommodate the timing of a move. This happens often. This is not so rare. But what you don't want to do is give them the impression, that it's contingent on, well, I'm not going to do anything, or I'm not sure I'm going to move to your city until I get an offer. You want to let them know, I've already made up my mind that I'm coming. Now it's just a matter of when, and whatever I get the job will accelerate that move date. Something like that. I go into in the video, I talk about some of the rationale that you can provide, which will help the employers kind of relax a bit about the move. Meaning, hey, I'm moving there for family. Hey, my husband and I just had a baby, and we're moving there because mom and dad live there, and we want the support. Like those are music to their ears. When you say, well, I'm open to 5 different cities and I'm poking around and I'm looking, that's not music to their ears. So you just want to be careful. That's how I would approach it. I would definitely watch that video. So give that a go. All right, let me see how we doing. All right, folks, let me try to squeeze a few more of these in there. Look at you, accomplishment. Landing a multi-million-dollar deal with a tech giant. Aylin, awesome, fundamentally changed my organization's future. I'll never forget how working for and achieving this impossible opportunity felt. I love it. So that must have been right when I was asking about some of the greatest wins. Let me look through some here. Has anyone, Jennifer Gregory, how are you? Has anyone else found after going on a journey to attain a big goal that the destination wasn't desired? I am sure that is probable. If, let's see, you are in the mini camp, right? So I don't think you're in the boot camp. For any of you that are in the job search coaching program, that's the boot camp. If you're not in and you want to get in, email us at support@milewalk.com. Kara will work with you to get you in the program. And if you are in the program, in Module 1, we talk about pursuits of big goals, pursuits in your careers, and those kind of things. And there is a process that I lay out for you to test your why, evaluate whether it's more of a deep desire or a passing fancy, and an extension of some of these things I talked about today with getting over those initial hurdles. The other thing that you guys should read is Stumbling on Happiness by Daniel Gilbert. The cover of the book is an upside down bowl of cherries, and it is an absolute fabulous read. It's one of my top 3 favorite books of all time about this very thing. It's not about happiness. It's about why you're not as happy ever as you thought you would be, or you're not as sad as you thought you would be when something great or something tragic happens. It's really a fascinating read. Baby girl, greatest accomplishment, traveling 5% of the world, getting my CAPM certification, traveling, had some hiccups, getting the certs after years of failing, 3 times studied 6 months during lockdown. I love it. Proud of you, my leader. David Mills, asking her what the CAPM. Laura Cobb, greatest win, getting over myself to start actually living my life, slowing down to enjoy the process, enjoying the quiet of the silence. That is awesome. And I loved the chapter. I really did. That is awesome. Let me see any more of these here. Mr. 97 had a phone screen and was asked to tell them about their culture. Turned it back, but was told it is expected for me to research before and have the right answer. Is this normal? Okay, hang on. Let's take the culture component out of the equation. If I ask you, so okay, you're interviewing with me, Mile Walk. This is anybody. Keith, what do you know about my company? Okay, that is a damn good question from the employer. I applaud the employer for asking. I don't know that I would say it to you that, hey, you should have researched and this and that. Internally, that's what I'm thinking. And what I would have done is noted he didn't do any research. Or, hey, our cultural characteristics. We had a company in Wisconsin, client company of ours for Mile Walk. They had 5 leadership tenets. If any candidate walked in and didn't know what those were, when it's like stamped on the front page of the website, that's bad. That means you didn't do your homework. So to you, I would say it is a fair question on their part. You should note that. And I'll take you one step further for all of you, but culture especially, but this really goes for anything. I would feed it back to them as, one of the reasons I want to work here is, why do you want to work here, Keith? Well, I noticed your culture is really focused on bump, 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 bump. This is exactly what I want because, so on and so forth. Like, give it back to them. You're telling them, hey, I researched you. Hey, I studied you. Hey, we align. That kind of stuff. All right. Let's see. This talk and examples so reduce the blood pressure regarding overwhelm. Douglas, my lifetimer, my man. Thank you for that. I'm glad that. Laura Cobb wins, sending 80 my story. All right, let me see. Is there any other major? I want to read some of these major accomplishments. David Mills, my biggest accomplishment is through hiking the Appalachian Trail, Springer Mountain in Georgia. Oh my goodness. To Katahdin in Maine over 190 days in 2006. Involved a lot of planning and flexibility. Oh my God, that's awesome. And Douglas, I just read that. That is fantastic. What do you got? Can't or don't want to, Gail. Gotta recognize that that's true. Dog that caught the car. Yes, I've been guilty. Let me see. Anyway, I'm just zipping down. Are you enjoying? Yes, please do. All right. Wait, this is a really good one. Jennifer Gregory. Thoughts on seasoned workers, 10 years plus, taking unpaid internships to gain technical skills. Any tips on pitching a job that does not yet exist? Okay, so a couple things. First thing is, I don't believe you need to take an unpaid internship. If there are technical skills that you want to get, There's a couple ways to get them. One of them is on your own. Research, some of them are paid for training and certification testing and all that other stuff. If they're truly technical skills, if that's what you meant in the truest sense of the word, meaning something that you can actually take on your own. But I would be, and here again, the other thing is, if you are, I don't know if you're, if you're married, you have, multiple incomes, you can afford, this is a personal situation, maybe you're independently wealthy, who knows, and you want to do something like that, I don't have a problem. But I just don't think that working unpaid would be my first attempt at trying to break into a certain area. Now, my thoughts are, I wouldn't. Now, we did have a situation, which is a fascinating story, Nina from France. And if you check out my job search coaching program, if you click the button on the page, it'll take you to different stories, success stories, some experiences. And we have a video on that page from Nina from France where she was trying to break into, she was out of work. She had been injured, so she had to go through rehab. She was in she was trying to break into a very male-dominated industry market, really, sub-market in cybersecurity, and she's an alliances director, alliances manager, and knows how to set these things up, and was having difficulty breaking in. So she worked with me, we put a plan together, and as part of that plan, it was building relationships with people who had cybersecurity companies. And what she was able to do was she was able to get with the CEO of an organization, and she said to him, he couldn't necessarily afford her at the rate she wanted, okay? And she wanted the experience, and she decided, I will consult for you, meaning I will help you build your alliances practice, because I know the methodology and I know how to create these structures. And if I'm able to help you develop relationships that turn into partnerships and you gain money through that, you will pay me a commission. So it's basically like 100% commission roll. But what it did for her was, and I don't believe she actually collected any commissions, and the reason she didn't collect any commissions is because while she was doing this stuff, she ended up getting 3 job offers with cybersecurity companies because all of a sudden her resume looked one hell of a lot better. Okay, so this kind of setup for her, now I realize this might not work for you, but my point to you, Jennifer, and anybody else is there are creative ways to accomplish what you want. Where is my damn card? We put a plan together for her. Once she got over the fact that what she was doing was not going to work, and I said, you got to think longer term, and longer doesn't mean 10 years, right? It could be a year, it could be 6 months, it could be 3 months. But here is what I would do. I would bolster your background and your credentials this way. Let's see what we can come up with. She was in networking groups that were aimed at cybersecurity. These are the kind of things you can be doing. And I would be rubbing elbows with people who are already in that space, who are employed, who could potentially get you a job in the space you want. So those are the kind of things I would be doing. And Jennifer, I'd check out Nina's story. You might have even seen this because I rolled this during the job search mini camp that we did in May. And Nina and I filmed that right before that. And it's really a great story. All right, folks, I have got to get running. And this has been a lot of fun. I hope you enjoyed the talk on, kind of getting over fear, getting over worries, getting over the hurdle. Tomorrow in my leadership coaching program. So my job search coaching program is about finding the right job for yourself and everything you need to secure that dream job. The leadership program, and I use the term leadership loosely, it's self-help, high performance, leadership qualities, career development. It's when you are you got the job you love, or there's assets in there to help you find the job too, but it's a separate part of my curriculum. One is about job finding. The other is about living your best life, being your best self, having the best career, and it's got loads of assets in it. So I really hope you check it out. And we're on tomorrow at 11 a.m. Central Daylight Time. So I'll see my leaders tomorrow. Everybody else, let's see. I think I'm here next Thursday. I'll be in your inbox on Tuesday. And everybody have a great weekend. And I'll see my leaders tomorrow, but if I don't, Everybody be good. See ya.